The dismissal of state prosecutor Dariusz Barski by the Justice Minister was illegal, Polish President Andrzej Duda said on Monday, opening a new front in the conflict between the head of state and the new government. Just before noon, a meeting took place between President Andrzej Duda and the Prime Minister Donald Tusk. The Polish president informed the President of the Council of Ministers that he does not agree to a change in the position of national prosecutor, which, according to the law, means that Dariusz Barski remains in his position.
Powiedziałem państwu prokuratorom, że
I told prosecutors that I repeat that there was absolutely no consultation with me in terms of changes in the state prosecutor's office. I have not received, as president, any written document or any written inquiry, any written request. I also did not state my position in any written form, so I believe no legal actions were taken. I want to highlight it with all my might. Ladies and gentlemen, the law is clear. The dismissal of a state prosecutor can only take place after a consultation that should take place between the Prime Minister and the President. It requires the President's approval. It requires written presidential approval. There was no such consultation. There is no doubt there was a violation of law. Therefore, we cannot say anything about the effective dismissal of the state prosecutor from his office. I believe it is obvious to everyone that I address Prime Minister Tusk to bring back order in this case and speak to Minister Bodnar, because what we observe is not serious and causes disturbance in the country. Justice Minister Adam Bodnar has been tasked with unpicking policies of the previous Law and Justice government, which critics say increased political influence over the judicial system. Polish President Duda says Bodnar does not have the authority unilaterally to dismiss Barski. The Justice Ministry argues that Barski's appointment was invalid, as laws in force at the time of his appointment barred somebody who had retired from taking up the role of state prosecutor. A volcano erupted in southwestern Iceland yesterday, and in the afternoon streams of molten lava reached the outskirts of the small fishing town of Grindavik. The hot lava is engulfing more buildings. Drone footage showed fiery lava flows setting houses on fire on Sunday.
This morning was that an eruption started very close to Grindavik, which is very serious. We have been following the development of the rupture since, and actually the barriers that we have been building, even though they are not finished, we have seen that they are actually providing some protection for the town, so the lava has changed its direction. But then around noon we had a new shock when a fissure opened within the town, and there is lava flowing up from that fissure. Already several houses have gone under lava, so it's a very serious situation we're faced with here right now.
Authorities built barriers of earth and rock in recent weeks to try to prevent lava from reaching Grindavik, some 40 kilometres southwest of the capital Reykjavik, but the latest eruption has penetrated the town's defences.
We had this eruption started just before 8 o'clock this morning. It was on the area where we have been expecting it to come, but unfortunately it went a little bit more south than we had hoped for. So it went inside the barriers that we have already built, and then also about 3-4 hours later we had another opening just outside the town of Grindavik.
The volcano appeared to be less active on Monday after molten lava flows reached the outskirts of the fishing village around noon on Sunday, setting 3 houses alight. The town had been evacuated earlier, and there was no immediate danger to people. Live video footage on Monday showed glimpses of orange lava still flowing to the surface, but at smaller volumes and further away from the town. It was the second eruption on the peninsula of Reykjanes in 4 weeks and the 5th since 2021. Thousands of angry German farmers on their tractors descended on Berlin on Monday to protest against the government's plans for higher taxes on farming operations and for fair prices for their products. This is about the German farming industry's future. I was born in 1966, my son in 2003, and he is currently undertaking agricultural vocational training. I am here today for him and his buddies to protest so that in the future we will still have a German farming industry and don't have to import everything from neighbouring EU countries or Southern Europe or South America or Latin America. Farmers don't want subsidies. Subsidies were at some point introduced by Brussels or Berlin or Hanover. Farmers want fair prices for their products, and we want to be able to make ends meet. Subsidies always leave an aftertaste. Germany's finance minister, Christian Lindner, took to the stage on Monday in front of thousands of jeering farmers protesting against tax rises and told them there was no money for further subsidies. There must not be those who suffer more than others, and here we agree, but everyone must make a contribution. The state subsidies and the value-added tax, which was reduced during the coronavirus crisis, will expire. Subsidies for agricultural diesel will not expire immediately. They will be reduced step by step over the coming years. I cannot promise you more state aid from the federal budget today, but we can fight together for you to enjoy more freedom and respect for your work. It is in the hands of the government. Too much is too much. It's enough. If the government withdraws the plan to raise taxes, we will remove the tractors from the street. As long as they don't do that, we will continue to make use of our constitutional right to demonstrate. Berlin has been brought to a near standstill by the demonstration, which filled one of its central avenues with trucks and tractors as some 10,000 farmers arrived to cap a week of protests against taxes that have become a flashpoint for anti-government anger. The nationwide unrest has put further strain on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition as it grapples with budget problems and rising far-right forces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived in Sweden on Monday for a state visit before heading to Davos to participate in the World Economic Forum. He arrived at Zurich airport at midday and was welcomed by the Swiss Foreign Minister, Federal Councillor Ignacio Cassis. Shortly after Zelensky's plane landed, Zelensky and Cassis boarded a helicopter to take them to the Swiss capital Bern to meet Swiss President Viola Amherd. President Zelensky wants China to take part in a global peace conference to resolve the conflict with Russia, he told a press conference on Monday. As for the list of countries, we are open to all countries of the world that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity, so you can make your own conclusions about who we invite. We would like the Global South countries definitely to be present. As for the role of China, they play a big role in the world, so we would very much want China to be involved in our peace formula, and also involved in the summit for sure. But you know that not everything depends on our desire. We will see. Let's hope that all civilized countries will be involved in the peace summit. It is critically important to continue our work in the area of sanctions together. The sanctions against Russia that have already been imposed must be fully effective. Ukraine counts on Switzerland's support in the global effort to block all schemes to bypass sanctions. I want to thank you that Switzerland is not indifferent, and being neutral for you does not mean ignoring reality. And you are morally true, honestly assessing what is happening in Europe right now. The World Economic Forum began today and will continue until the 19th of January.